Welcome to the Healers Café, conversations on health and healing with Manon Bolliger, a retired and deregistered naturopathic physician with 30 plus years of experience. Here you will discover engaging and informative conversations between experienced healers, covering all aspects of healing, the personal journey, the journey of the practitioner, and the amazing possibilities for our own body and spirit.
So welcome to the Healers Café. And today I have with me Sylvie Beljanski. She's a French lawyer by trade, is a health advocate for holistic medicine, public speaker, internationally known author and entrepreneur. And she's the founder and executive vice president of the Beljanski Foundation, whose mission is to research natural approaches to cancer. I think I'll leave it with that. This is very exciting to
Thank you.
to interview you, also because many of the people I interview are healthcare practitioners and holistic practitioners, but without lawyers and without people fighting to have the right to have alternatives that work. It's a difficult world we're in.
Indeed.
Maybe
Indeed.
maybe the last 2 years have helped because people are realizing that maybe we're not presented with everything, that we should be. So I'm looking at it very optimistically.
Yeah, it's nice to be optimistic. In one way, yes, a lot of people realized that there was something wrong and they understood that there was some kind of censorship that they were not aware about before. But at the same time, there is so much also censorship that's really came to everything integrative medicine, not just everything COVID, but just everything integrative medicine, which is, kind of dangerous. And I think it is more important what you are doing, giving a space for people to speak is more important than ever. So thank you very much for having me today.
Oh, great. Okay, well, listen, I want to first ask you your personal journey, not on how you became a doctor, but how you became an advocate, and then literally an avocat in French, because I know you speak French. How did that journey,
Well, I am not a doctor. No, I am not a doctor.
No, I know, but I'm just saying normally, it's like I asked that question, but here you're an avocat, an advocate. It's the same in English. It's to advocate, right? It's the same word in French as avocat, which is a lawyer, right? So tell us about that journey and what made you choose holistic health as your main focus.
So I grew up in a family of scientists. My father, late Dr. Manon Bolliger, was a biologist in molecular chemistry, and he was working at the Pasteur Institute and the CNRS, which was the French equivalent of NIH. And he found a number of natural compounds that helped a lot of people with cancer. And growing up, I saw a lot of people getting better thanks to my parents' products. But I also understood very quickly that that was not at all for me, that I was not going to be involved in that when I grow up. I don't want to have anything to do with those sick people who are coming, invading the house night and day. And it's not for me. I'm going to law school. And what happened is that my father's products ultimately helped former President former President François Mitterrand, who had a case of advanced prostate cancer became official at the beginning of his second term. The terms were 7 years at the time, and it had been kept a secret during the first term. But at the beginning of the second term, he was so sick that they had to get a surgeon who said that the cancer had spread everywhere and that there was no way he was going to finish his second term and the country should prepare for early elections. But François Mitterrand, this is a French story, you know, so François Mitterrand had a mistress who knew about a good doctor who had very good results with prostate cancer, thanks to my father's products, and Mitterrand started to get the products. And as we know, he was able to finish his second term. So that was very good for the president, but a number of very powerful people linked to big pharma, linked to the French government, were absolutely infuriated to see that some natural products could do better than what they had, you know, envisioned and predicted with all the drugs they have. So, so a few months after Mitterrand finally passed away, they sent a SWAT team to destroy my father's laboratory. They came with helicopters, dogs, machine guns, you name it. I mean, the big circus to put an end to what was the only independent cancer research laboratory in France at the time.
Wow.
And my father became extremely sick. I mean, the conditions of his arrest were extremely suspicious. Things were not, they did not follow the things by the book. I mean, it was, we believe he was actually radiated. And he passed away a few months after the arrest. And I made the promise to my father to take the case to the European Court of Human Rights, which we did. We won an unanimous decision, Beljanski against France. But I felt that that was not enough. What was actually the most important for my father and for my father's legacy was not so much the legal case. He was not a lawyer. He did not really care about that. What really mattered to him is that the work of his life. I mean, what he has, the products, the discoveries continue. Mm-hmm. And that's why I started this non-for-profit organization here in New York City, the Beljanski Foundation, which is a 501c3. And I started some partnerships with a number of American prestigious entities. We are very lucky to be able to work with Columbia University or Kansas University Medical Center. We had a clinical trial with Cancer Treatment Centers of America to continue the research, confirm my father's work, and go beyond. And since I'm very proud to say that now we have been working with all those entities, we have had one, if not two, peer-reviewed papers published every year, and everything now is available on the website of the Beljanski Foundation. So that's, in a way, my father is no longer with us, but the legacy is still living and continues to help a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, in the end, you know, anyone who discovers something that works, that's what they want. Exactly. You know, they want to help more people. So I understand completely how you ended up with the legal aspect without it being the primary motivator. Exactly. But so, I mean, you know, we've heard about the witch hunts and it's kind of the same thing. Many incredible researchers have come up, you know, with solutions that have helped, whether it's astroglial cancers of the brain. I forget his name. I think it's Babinski or something, who was persecuted for 35 years. There are it seems like it's not an open market where the good of the person is the first priority. It seems
It's not.
So can
It's
you go
not.
into that a little bit? And
Yeah, well, you know, in one sentence, there is a very good sentence in English. It's follow the money. And big pharma is an industry. They are only looking at molecules that they can patent. Everything that is not invented there and is not patentable is of no interest to them. But if it takes a share of their market, they are going to be fierce and try to protect their market. And if it means destroying other things, so be it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I that's my conclusion too. It's follow the money, and it's not a fair playing field, because obviously with the media being bought, they're not going to talk about, you know, any alternatives that are not chemotherapy, because, you know, they're
you are lucky if they don't speak about it, because when they speak about it, it is to just to poo-poo it, to discredit it, to discredit the research, discredit the man, discredit everything. What I have found is that actually there is no bad publicity, and a lot of people are smarter than what media thinks, and they say, well, you know, if they are so much discredited, there must be something behind it of value.
Yeah, and I think, you know, they call it the Great Awakening, what's happening now. And in some ways, I feel very optimistic, because my father, who has passed away, but he used to always say it's a pendulum, you know. And if you push too far and you make it so obvious that it's follow the money trail, you know, experts that are paid but not elected, you know, if we create this world that we somehow have allowed, because we haven't stayed on guard and actually said, no, this is not acceptable, right? Then it allows the sleeping people to kind of go, oh, maybe there's something to it. First, they're all, you know, hypocrites, they're conspiracy theorists, they're whatever. You know, I've been called the witch, I've been called, you know, as being a naturopath, which in Canada is a recognized profession. You know, we have proper exams, all that, but because we do natural things, there's a bias against it, you know. And I do feel times are like, we've been unbelievably kept quiet under the mandates, because our overlords are the non-elected health people that know nothing about prevention, don't care about people, you know, it's all about product.
They are not interested in prevention, so it doesn't matter if they know anything. They are just not going there.
No. And though we've had a lot of policing in the sense of our own, you know, governing bodies clamping down on our freedom of speech in order to, you know, to be good to these unelected officials, at least this is what's happening in Canada, people are upset. You know, patients are upset. They're starting to say, like, wait a minute here, I got better, I had this, I had that, you know. So I think there's kind of a momentum now of people, you know, wanting to know the truth, you know. So I do think it's turning, but what is your...
I certainly hope so. I am a little bit more cautious than you seem to be, maybe because my family and myself have been through so much. I mean, but I really hope that you are right, and that things are going to get better.
So what do you think would help that? What do you think that...
I think we have to be relentless. We have to keep speaking, keep publishing, keep being there for all the people who want to learn about their own health. And they want to learn about how to take care of themselves, what is available to them naturally. Yes.
Mm. So like in your foundation, you, I don't know if you have a name for it, but you actually have information on approaches that your father used for cancer, right? That people can find
yes.
out.
So what we have been doing at the Beljanski Foundation, we have been studying systematically each ingredient, and he really perfected 5 ingredients, which are very, very easy to understand. And we studied them at different stages of efficiency. For example, he has 2 ingredients called paupera coming from paupera coming from South America, a tree from South America, and Revolfia vomitoria. It has a reserpine-free extract of Revolfia vomitoria, which is coming from Africa. And those 2 plant extracts have anti-cancer properties, and we were able to show that they are working on different kinds of cancer. Forget about cancer of this kind, breast cancer, prostate cancer. No, it works at the level of the DNA.
Right.
It is specific of the DNA of destabilized cancerous cells, okay? Yeah. And it doesn't touch healthy cells. No, so full selectivity of action, which means no toxicity, no side effect. So we were able to confirm that. We were able to confirm the synergy of action with different chemotherapies, like gemcitabine or carboplatin. We were able to work that it has an anti-inflammatory benefit.
Manon Bolliger here, and I want to thank you for taking actionable steps towards engaging your healing journey and helping others discover their path by watching, sharing, subscribing, and reviewing these podcasts. Every review and share helps spread the word, these different perspectives and choices and options for healing. And to thank you, I'd like to invite you to sign up to my free 7-sequence email tips on health and healing for everyday life. You can go to healerscafe.com tips. Thanks so much.
The synergy again with chemotherapies, and also it works, we've seen it that it's still working on advanced cancer, like an advanced prostate cancer that do not respond anymore to hormonotherapy. So although we got all those publications, then we went on to study the activity of those extracts on cancer stem cells. That's very important because chemotherapy doesn't work on cancer stem cells, and that's why we have the metastasis and the relapse. So both extracts, paupera and Revolfia vomitoria, were shown to work, to be efficient at destroying cancer stem cells, ovarian cancer stem cells, pancreatic cancer stem cells, both in vivo and in vitro and in vivo. There is also little fragments of RNA, which is specific of the DNA of the bone marrow and helps the bone marrow to create white blood cells and platelets. This is very, very important because when people are undergoing chemotherapy, their white blood cells, including platelets, are destroyed by chemotherapy. So here we have a natural product which is going to help the bone marrow to do its own work without toxicity, and therefore means all the families of white blood cells are going to be created without any imbalance, without growth factor, and so on. And they are not doing also too many white blood cells or platelets. You don't want to have too many. They are just those which are here are just the right number, and they are well activated.
Okay. Well, I mean, it sounds to me very much like the principle of having good friendly bacteria in your gut so that you don't get sick, right? Because
exactly. But instead of having to transform, having your gut getting the nutrients and making the proper elements it needs, you give right away exactly what it needs to support the bone marrow.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, the advantage of that too, I think is, I mean, one, it's the direct impact, but it also relies on the body's intelligence, it sounds like, of knowing what it needs to do what it has to do, right? So
exactly.
Yeah, and I think that's the concept. Most people, they're waiting for the cancer to manifest and then the tumor to grow or whatever, and then they say, oh, I have a problem. But, we constantly have cancer cells that come and go. And if we are in optimal health and we have a working immune system, then we're in a much better position to deal with all that
normally the body is producing destabilized cancerous cells on a daily basis, but our immune system is able to recognize them and eliminate them. Mm-hmm. What the beauty of those products that my father discovered is that they, if your immune system is missing some cancerous cells, then the paupera or the revolvia vomitoria is going to spot those cells and eliminate them the way the body should do it.
Mm-hmm. So I wonder, I mean, the work is already plentiful, but I'm curious because in this time period with the experimental jabs that have been, we're still in the experiment at this stage, there's clinicians everywhere are saying that there's a massive, like 1,000-fold increase in cancer. And have you noticed that to be true, or are you in a situation to see that?
Well, even, before the pandemic, there was the stats where, I mean, the forecast was going to an increase of the number of cancer because we are living in a world which is more and more polluted. The food that we are eating is very often junk food, filled with pesticides, hormones, and all those things that little by little produce a destabilization of the DNA and induce cancer. But we can consider that the jab indeed is manipulation of our immune system. That's the definition of any vaccine, is adding another layer of what our bodies have to deal with, and the disruption compared to the normal state of health and homeostasis. So because we have this massive additional disruption, we are going at a greater rate towards the destabilized state, and therefore towards cancer.
Yeah, and also because in the actual immune system, the natural innate immune system is being so disrupted that it can't seem to fight the way it used to. And I think that's what I've heard from immunologists. I'm not an immunologist, but I would think that a product like an approach like what your foundation and your father created makes sense, because it's working at the same level, but it's giving the body what it's missing. It sounds like.
Absolutely, and it can be taken, preventively. It can be taken once you are diagnosed, alone or together with chemotherapies, and it can be taken after, once you have been told you are cancer-free, but you still have that, in somewhere in it creates a lot of anxiety, and you takes a lot of time for the body to fully recover anyway.
And so how available is that? Because one of the things that, you know, I've noticed is that when a good product works and you can't make, pharmaceutical companies can't make money, they go to great extents to make it unavailable, unprescribable, and uncreatable, you know, like that. So are you experiencing any of that?
So that's exactly what the French government did. And at the time they arrested my father, they also seized everything in France. There was no more product available, including for himself. I received phone calls of people saying, are you going to make the products because we are going to die here? And I was like,
yeah,
don't die, please don't die. Let me think about it. I'm promise I'm going to find a way. So the first thing, you know, because of maybe my legal background, the first thing I did back in 1997 was to notify the FDA of those ingredients as new dietary ingredients. So that was filed with an FDA in 1997. After that, I did my best, since I had, you know, notified the FDA, to make the products available as dietary supplements. And the products have been available on the market as dietary supplements, and also completely independently of Manon Bolliger, who is offering the products. There is a Beljanski Foundation doing the research. But if you go on the Beljanski Foundation website, you will not find any product to buy. And if you go on the Manon Bolliger website, you will not find any claim, because that's the law, and I intend to respect the law.
Right. Yeah, you can, but you can't prescribe it because you're not in that position, apparently. But then, so how do people manage to get that? If they choose that they want this, you know, I mean, I know lots of people right now that have cancer that either don't want to do chemo again because they already did it and it nearly killed them, or they just won't do it because they've read more about it and they want to do other things. So they're going to Mexico, they're going to places that are much more open to helping people first, right? And so what do people do if they're in North America or in Europe right now, if they want to be able to try this protocol?
Okay, so the products are available on the website of Manon Bolliger, just in one word, ManonBolliger.com. But we highly recommend people to get professional advice.
Of course.
Not to do, you know, just to know what they should take. So we have a list also of health professionals, and depending on their area, we can put them in touch with a health professional who knows about the products. We help also a number of health professionals to get acquainted with this research and those products by having some health coach sessions just for health professionals. And we create like that a community of people who are aware of the research and may be able to provide the proper protocols.
Okay. Well, then it sounds like a very well needed product and service, you know, that can truly help people. So we only have like about 5 more minutes together. What else would you like to share about either the foundation, this work, or maybe case studies? What would you like to share with us?
So let me get that.
Your book.
Yes. So if people have more information about the story, about the research, about the foundation, everything is in the book. And the book is an easy read. It is, I mean, I'm not a doctor. Everybody can understand, and it's the book. It reads like a novel because there is all the story about my father in it and how it's all started all over again, out of nowhere, here in the States. And so it reads really like a thriller. It's a true story. And it explains everything. So it gives you also all the information you may need or want to get a step further and learn more about this approach.
Great. Okay, no, that's perfect. Because it really is a time where people are taking their health more in their own hands, and I myself, because I no longer practice at this stage because my license became in question for raising, issues about things. Let's just say, first do no harm was my predominant belief. So I had my limitations on what I can stand. But one of the things I'm doing now is really educating the public, people, to realize that, one, they have many of the answers themselves because their bodies are so amazing. And there are so many resources of people that have done work. You don't have to recreate every wheel. There's already fantastic work that we just don't get to hear about, but it's available, so if people start searching, there's no reason to give up hope, and I just thought maybe one of the stories that you've heard, either through your dad, because you're not a clinician, or have you heard like something that you want to share, maybe as encouragement of what's possible?
So the first, the first time I had, a US doctor come to learn about what we are doing, it was because after my father's passing, I organized a symposium here in New York City, invited all the French doctors to see me, just to let them know that I was dedicated with carrying on with the project. And I had a handful of American doctors who came, and one of them, Dr. Michael Schachter, listened very attentively. He had never heard anything like that, really, but he was really impressed by what the French doctors had to say, despite the ongoing translation. And he had a desperate case of patient with a pancreatic cancer. I said, the poor guy at this stage, I'm going to try with him. And against all odds, again, the patient did so well that Dr. Michael Schachter was then eager to provide the products to other patients. And then a few years later, he gave a lecture at the American College of Integrative Medicine in front of all of his colleagues about my father's research. So when you have something that really, really works, it finds its way, one way or another. It is at some point recognized, and therefore never give up, because it will eventually be recognized by good people with open-minded, who will recognize the value of the science and give it a chance.
I think I'm going to leave it with these inspiring words. And it was a real pleasure to get to speak to you and learn this history and be able to share what your foundation and all this work is about.
Thank you so very much. Thank you, Manon.
Je vais finir en français. Merci beaucoup.
Merci à vous.
Thank you for joining us at the Healers Café with Manon Bolliger. Continue your healing journey by visiting thehealerscafe.com and her website, and discover how to listen to your body and reboot for optimal health.